purpose of this video is to explain the rib command. Now, what I've done is I've already gone ahead and drawn the entire object with all the holes, all the fillets, and everything else that's required to complete this object. I've also gone ahead and created the sketch for this, which is nothing more than a single line. If we look at the sketch, it is from a point that was created using the point, and the point was created using the intersection of the front plane and this top edge. This axis was also put in place to serve as the end point, and this axis was put in place to serve as the dimensional location. Now, just so that everything is a little bit easier to understand, I'm going to get rid of that sketch. That way you can all see exactly how I did it. So I click on here and then click sketch and then sketch again. Now what I want to do is I want to create a point. So I'm going to left click over here to references, and I'm going to hold down control, and I'm going to select my front plane and this edge. That's going to put in point 0. I'll say OK. Click axis and click on this, say OK. Click back on axis, click on this line, say OK. I now have an axis and everything else that my point needs to go to. So I'm going to start a line from my axis, and I'm going to come up here, and it's not going to let me grab the point. So I'm going to end the line close to the point and then use a coincident constraint between the end point of the line and the actual point itself. Now, this axis seems to have been created in the wrong place, so let me go ahead and undo that. This operation will go a lot smoother if everything is created in the place that it's supposed to be created and nothing extra exists. So if you make a mistake somewhere throughout this process, it's best to just go back to your front plane and do a new sketch. Now, to make life a little bit easier this time, I'm just going to click use and I'm going to select this. That's going to put that line right there in the middle for me, exactly where I want it to be, and then I'm going to delete that line and it's going to leave behind this reference geometry. Then I'll click on point, click on references, hit control, select this top line and this plane, say OK, click back on axis and click this line right here and say OK. Now I can draw my line from this axis, making sure I don't grab the midpoint, up close to the end point of or close to the point. Then using a coincident constraint, click the end point and the point. Now I can place a dimension from this axis to this end point at a dimension of 1. Now, some may be saying, wouldn't it be easier to just draw this profile and then do it? For something as simple as this rib, that may be true, but once these get a lot more complex, it's best to go with the profile rib command. Now once I have that in place, I'm going to come over here, and this little flyout right here, its default is this button. I'm going to use profile rib, and you can see that it's got all the information in here. I need to put a thickness of 0.25, and I can see that it is going to both directions. If I click this once, it'll go to one side, click it again, it goes to the other side, click it again, it's back in the middle. If yours is pointing out and away like this, just click on the arrow and it'll go back in. Hit the green checkbox, and now you have your profile rib in place.